Should you join Medicare if you're on an employer health insurance plan? It can be yours or a spouse's. The answer will likely surprise you because what the insurance companies and the government tell you is not the full story. So in this video, I want to share a tip for those of you who are on employer health insurance. What are the rules to be aware of, and when should you or should you not join Medicare? I'm Emily with the Medicare Coach, an independent Medicare consultant, helping our clients both navigate all the government rules on Medicare, but also the insurance company options to help you do what's right and best for you to both protect your hard-earned retirement savings, but also get the most out of your Medicare healthcare benefit. So I'm going to share some extra resources down below to make your life simple and easy. But let's go ahead and hop into this video. So if you work past 65, or if you have employer health insurance past 65, you might be asking yourself, should I join Medicare? And the answer is, it depends. When people ask me the question, the first thing that I ask them back is, does your employer health insurance plan meet Medicare rules? What does that mean? In order for you to delay Medicare past 65 without any penalties, you must have an employer health insurance plan that meets Medicare rules. It either be your employer plan or a spouse's employer plan. And the rules say the employer plan must, number one, not require you to be on Medicare A or B at 65. If the employer plan requires that, you must join Medicare at 65 to meet Medicare rules. Number two, the employer must have 20 employees or more. If your company does not have 20 employees, you likely need to join Medicare as well. And number three is the prescription plan from your employer deemed creditable. Now, creditable means the plan on average covers medications as well as or better than Medicare. Again, your company is legally required to confirm this for you every single year. So, question number one is, does your employer plan meet Medicare rules? So if it meets all of those rules, then yes, you can technically delay Medicare past 65. Now, when my dad and I were kind of approaching his Medicare decision, he got a pretty scary letter in the mail. And the letter was from the government saying you must join Medicare at 65 or you may be penalized. There was no additional explanation to that may. And so what the may is what I just talked about. Again, you can delay Medicare past 65 if your employer health insurance plan meets Medicare rules. So you could just stop that right there. I have a couple more things to consider, but if your employer plan meets Medicare rules, you can delay all parts of Medicare. In most cases, it is a total waste of money to both pay for employer health insurance and also pay for Medicare Part A and B. Now, there can be some reasons why you'd want to do both of those, but in most cases, paying for both is a huge red flag. So, step one I ask clients is, does your employer plan meet Medicare rules? The second thing that I look at is, do your doctors also take Medicare, but also your employer health insurance? There can be times where Medicare covers more doctors or less doctors, but that can be a factor to determine should you join Medicare or should you keep your employer plan. The third thing we look at is costs. I want to know which is cheaper. Is Medicare cheaper or is your employer plan cheaper? You would be surprised at how many times Medicare is cheaper. Usually about half the times Medicare is cheaper than your employer plan. Usually the tipping point of wanting to join Medicare for costs is if you're paying over $300 a month in monthly premiums per person and your deductible on your employer plan is around $2,500 a year. So if you are paying more than that for your employer health insurance, we might consider Medicare. There are other factors that impact that tipping point. That's typically the tipping point for most people when it comes to Medicare. So just because your employer plan does meet Medicare, we do want to go one step further and ask ourselves, do our doctors take Medicare? And what are the overall cost differences between the two to make the best decision for you? Okay? So again, if your employer plan meets all the rules, and if your doctor takes all the Medicare plans, and if your costs on your employer plan is cheaper than Medicare, you should likely delay all parts of Medicare, and you can do so without any penalties later on. Now, there are steps to take in the future to eventually enroll in Medicare. So there's no notification happening at 65 for most of you to delay Medicare past 65, all right? Now, one final piece. When people are in this boat, my clients oftentimes ask me, well, what about Part A? Should I join Medicare Part A anyway at 65, even if I have an employer health insurance plan that meets Medicare rules? And my answer is it depends. I'm usually okay if you have an employer plan that meets Medicare rules, and also only have Medicare Part A, as long as one, you get Medicare Part A for free through your 40 quarters, and number two, you are not putting money into a health savings account. There are tax rules that say you can put money into an HSA up to the ladder of 65 or 6 months before you apply for Medicare. So if we have an HSA into play, when it comes to our clients, we'll ask you, are you better off, or what's more advantageous to you? The tax benefits of an HSA or a free Part A? In most cases, people prefer the HSA tax benefits, but again, it's up to you. So Medicare Part A can be fine, but an HSA will kind of impact that decision, okay? So here's how Medicare works when you're after 65. You can delay Medicare if it meets certain rules, but please question all of the vague comments when it comes to both the government, but also the insurance companies. I'm going to share some extra resources down below to make your life simple and easy, and here's to helping you easily make your right Medicare decision.